Good morning to the Morning Moments with Jesus family, and welcome into the gift of another wonderful day. As we get ready for our devotion time this morning, the Lord speaks to us today on being restored. I'm sure as we get together this morning and have our devotion time that there are many of us in this family we call Morning Moments that have had to go through a restoration process, the process of being restored. And the great thing about being restored is that God always uses the instruments and the tools and the process necessary to not only make us like we once were, but to actually make us better than we were before. The Lord takes us to Psalm 51 this morning, particularly in verse 6 and 7. And for many of you, you know that Psalm 51 is a very meaningful chapter in the Bible for me personally. As David walks through this power of restoration in his own life, we can glean a lot of information from that as well. I want you to listen to Psalm 51, verses 6 and 7 this morning. He is speaking to the Lord on his own restoration. He says, "Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you shall make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be white as snow." There's a great power in these two verses because David is talking about not only fixing what is wrong, but also getting out of his life what is wrong. Many years ago, I had an antique car, and I began to restore that car. And I got it to a certain point, and I took it to the body shop to have it painted. And as they were getting it prepped and getting it ready to go, I got a phone call one day, and he said they had found some rust in a certain area, but he believed he could just sand it down and kind of put some filler in it, and it would be all right. It wouldn't be noticeable, and just asked me if that would be okay. And I said, no. I said, what we probably need to do is just cut all of that out and put it in new, because even though you may cover it up and not be able to see it right now, it could cause me some trouble down the road, because that rust is going to spread, cause a lot more damage in a lot more areas if we don't take care of it right now. And isn't that the way our spiritual lives are as well? Sometimes we try to mask things. Sometimes we try to cover things up or camouflage them over like they're not there. As long as nobody else can see them, then we can deal with it and live with it. But what David is saying is that you can only cover those things up so long, but eventually you're going to have to deal with them. And if I'm honest this morning, I believe the Lord is really pressing upon my spirit to tell somebody this morning that perhaps the things you're dealing with today is a product of things that should have been dealt with a long time ago. And because they weren't dealt with then, you're having to deal with a greater magnitude of it now. And so the Lord really tells us in these two verses that David said, you desire truth in my inward parts, but also in that hidden part, that part that I want to try to cover up, that part that I don't want anybody else to see, and I really don't even want you to instruct me on it, Lord, because I just don't want to deal with it. But the Lord says if we're ever going to be truly restored, we got to let Him cut those things out of our lives that doesn't need to be there, so that it doesn't cause us a lot more trouble later on down the road. So I speak that blessing on you today. There's a great beauty and a great power in a restored life. You can stand and give testimony after testimony of what God has done for you simply because you allowed Him to come in, cut out those things that doesn't need to be there. Don't mask them over, don't camouflage them, don't cover them up with a great paint job. But just allow God to restore you from the inside out. That's what David is talking about. He wants to be restored from the inside out, so that not only people see he's being restored, but he can lay down at night and sleep in peace knowing he has been restored. So today I ask that you be safe, you be strong, and you always be blessed but be a person who lives a restored life. Not the life you used to live, but even a better life today, because all things have been made new. I sure pray you have a great day.